Thank you. Members, agenda item 1, are there any apologies? Certainly I have no apologies up here. Alderman Baxter.
Councillor Mulholland, but he hopes to be along later.
Thank you. Councillor Flaherty.
Thank you, Chair. Just for my colleague, Councillor Kyle Savage, he'll be along shortly.
Thank you, Councillor Flaherty. I would also advise members that we have that with several members joining us remotely. Councillor John O'Kane, Councillor Thomas O'Hanlon, Alderman Margaret Tinsley and Councillor Joy Ferguson. Agenda item 2, the declarations of interest, and we can do this now or we can do it as we go along. So not seeing any lights or hands or whatever. So then agenda item number 3, which is an information item, the Food Heartland Awards winners. And before I bring the Head of Economic Development in, I just want to say a couple of things about this myself. I think, you know, having read through the paper, it is a very good news story, members, in terms of the breadth, in terms of the amount, and in terms of the variation of businesses and so on that have been award winners from this borough in this last 12-month period. You know, it is an exercise in terms of the paper that should be done more regularly, because it gives us a summary and it shows just what is going on. So, having said that, going to bring in Head of Economic Development, please, Nicola, for a minute, and then Alderman Barry after that. Nicola.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, members, as well. Yes, it's a real delight to bring this information report because it really encapsulates everything that this borough is all about. It's our small to medium-sized enterprises and how innovative, how award-winning and productive they really are, and it's shining a light on all their good work. I've listed as many as we have notes of, but I wanted to start first of all with Council and our Best Outcome of the Past Decade Award on March the 28th, and we were allocated that for our work with the Food Heartland and the Food Heartland Network. But I wanted just to say, since January 25, 47 awards and 3 commendations have been won across 4 major award schemes. Irish Restaurant Award winners, Countryside Alliance Awards, Great Taste Awards and Irish Quality Food and Drink Awards. They are all listed there. There's just such an amazing array for one borough. It's absolutely phenomenal. I wanted just to pay special attention to one of the Irish Restaurant Award winners announced on the 19th of May, and that was won by Liam McKenna from the Armagh City Hotel. He won the Employee Excellence Award for the Ulster category, and some of us had the privilege of meeting Liam at one of our Food Heartland celebration events in Armagh, and certainly a very inspiring young man and somebody to look out for in the future as well. So we have all the award winners listed there, and there are so many, you just can't go through them all, but they are absolutely fabulous. And then I have an addendum to that report that came in whilst after the report had been done. But these are the Blas na Heron Award winners, and they were announced on Friday, the 3rd of October. And we have a whole of 17 awards there, which is again really, really remarkable for such a small borough. And we have so many innovative products getting awarded, and so many innovative companies. And I have the whole list here, and I will send it round to members after as well. But it's great to see the businesses now and businesses of the future and employees within the sector being awarded. Thank you.
Okay, Nicola, thank you very much for that. Alderman Barry, you're up next.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you to Nicola and her team. It's an excellent report. It's an encouraging report. It's a really positive news story, and we're fully aware, for those of us locally here in the ABC area, of all the wonderful food heartlands and eateries and all the different restaurants and cafes that are out there in the area, which are all punching above their weight. So I would like to commend Nicola and her team, the Food Heartland team, for the excellent work that they do and continue to do. And just in closing, Mr. Chairman, it is brilliant to see this down in black and white. And I would just like to ask Nicola, are we intending to maybe promote this further across our social media elements? We maybe have already done that, Nicola, but it's just saying in relation to the urban stroke rural businesses that are there right across the ABC, of the good news stories. And whilst it's brilliant to hear this and read it in the chamber, I would like to sort of see, have we a strategy in relation to the PR of this, of pushing it out there so that we can promote those businesses even more? Probably doing that, Nicola, but I just want to ask the question. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Barry. Nicola, do you want to come in briefly?
Yes, very briefly, Alderman Barry, you're absolutely right. We're there and we have promoted all the award winners on our Food Heartland socials and across our council networks as well. And the Lord Mayor has written to all of their award winners just to commend and to wish them all the very best in their future endeavours as well.
Thank you, Nicola. Councillor Armstrong.
Yes, thank you, Chair, and thank you, Nicola, for the report. Just want to echo Alderman Barry's comments there. It's great to see such successes within our borough, especially within the food and the hospitality sector. It just shows you how the quality of products that we produce and also the craftsmanship in behind it. We're seeing there a lot of our restaurants are doing well, and I know that at this time it is very hard for restaurants sort of to keep their doors open, but we're showing here in our borough that we have some of the best cafes and restaurants about. And even today we see the Royal Highnesses Prince and Princess of Wales visiting one of the winners on this list, showing that our products are being recognised not just only here within the borough and Northern Ireland and within the island of Ireland, but also across the UK, that they are recognised. So it is a great news story, and it's very, very great to see the successes of all our small businesses. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Armstrong. Members, I'm not seeing any more lights or hands on this one, so we'll move on to agenda item 4, and we have a number of decision items here, so we'll start with 4.1, the 2025 Georgian Festival, and its Head of Tourism, Brian Johnson, to present on this one.
Thank you, Chair, and good evening, members. So the first report this evening is, as the Chair says, related to Georgian Festival, which is in November of this year. And the request is to permit us to allow a fun fair to take place at the Shambles Yard. And again, that has been asked for previously by members, just in terms of making sure there's a spread across the city of footfall. And again, the times are outlined as proposed between the Friday and the Sunday. So the ask of members is to approve council entering into a licence agreement with a successful provider for the operation of the fun fair at the Shambles Yard, Armagh, from Friday the 28th of November to Sunday the 30th of November. Thank you.
Okay, Brian, thank you for that. Councillor O'Hanlon, you're up next, please.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Brian. Can I just ask, Brian, just in relation, first of all, happy to propose, but can we just get some more detail in terms of that, the quiet hour? Is there any availability on the Friday night? Now, I see that there's some on the Saturday morning from 11 a.m. to 12 noon. Is there any chance we could engage with the operator and see if they could do something as well, even a half-hour slot or an hour slot before it opens on the Friday evening at 7. I know it's just to allow for availability for families, but look, I think this is important to be able to stretch the festival down to the Shambles area of town. So I welcome that. So I'm happy to propose, and just maybe if we can engage with the fun fair operator with a wee bit more in relation to quiet hour on the Saturday or on the Sunday even. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor O'Hanlon. Brian, do you want to come in briefly on that one, please?
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Councillor O'Hanlon. No, I'm happy to do that, and we can feed back to you and let the committee know if that's been successful.
Okay, thank you, Brian. Councillor Armstrong, you're up next.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Happy to second this. Just a question around, it says in the report, there's further consideration of appropriate costing for carers, parents required to accompany their children. Can I just get a bit more detail on that, Brian? What does that mean? And before I go any further, thank you.
Okay, Brian, you're back in again.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Councillor Armstrong, for the question. I think that is just looking to see if there's any more support can be put in place, because we do get at times where carers are arriving and they have paid in the past, so we just need to negotiate that with the operator.
Okay, Councillor Armstrong, you're in. Yep.
Thank you, Brian. Yeah, look, it is important that when we do run these events and have the fun fair provider in place, that they are, affordable for parents and carers. It is one of the most successful events that council do put on. If you're there with a family of 4, a family of 5, it can become a very expensive day. We want to make it enjoyable but also affordable for families. But it's a great initiative, especially the quiet hour. I'm looking forward to seeing this year's Georgia Festival just grow, and hopefully next year we can keep growing it. Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Armstrong, and did I hear you second it? Yeah. Okay. So, members, we have heard it proposed by Councillor O'Hanlon and seconded by Councillor Armstrong. 4.1, we're all in agreement? Agreed? Okay. Members, just before we move on to 4.2, Councillor Ashley Mallon has joined us online. So, agenda item 4.2, the letter of offer from ANI Museums Council, and it's over to you again, Brian. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Members will be aware that we're currently on site at FE McWilliam in terms of the redevelopment, funded through what was the Levelling Up scheme, and that project is progressing well and due to finish sort of September next year. So the next two papers relate to additional funding that we have secured for the property. So we found whenever when we were going through the contracting phase, there were some elements had to be removed, and we're constantly looking at other funding sources to maybe top that up, and we will bring a fuller report in time on FE McWilliam and an update to members. But this report and the next one relate to additional funding that Rianne, who is the curator, has secured. So an application was submitted to Northern Ireland Museums Council, and a letter of offer has been received for £10,000 towards the cost of the fit out of a change in places toilet. And again, we haven't had that facility in FE McWilliam before, so that will be a good addition. Total cost, I think, is 12,900, and 10,000 coming from this fund. So that's the decision before members. Thank you.
Okay, Brian, thank you for that. And first up is Councillor Kevin Savage.
Thank you very much for bringing me in, Chair. And Brian, thank you very much for your report. Brian, Chair, I'm very happy to propose the recommendation as outlined in the report and pay a tribute to Rianne for putting in this application for the change in places toilet. As Brian stated, there wasn't one in FE McWilliams prior to this, and it will complement the facility and ensure that it's inclusive for all the residents of the borough who attend the FE McWilliams. So it's a very good news story, and happy to propose, Chair.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Savage. Next up is Councillor Flaherty.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Brian, and thank you, Rianne. Send my thanks to her too for pulling this all together, because I've talked about this many times. It's been a while actually since I talked about toilets, particularly in this committee. But for some people, an issue like this isn't really a high priority. I know awareness has been more is more raised of late, possibly thanks even to our own policy here in council. But for those of us who have faced the indignity of inaccessible changing facilities, this is a huge issue. Ask yourself, would you lie on a toilet floor? Would you change your child on a toilet floor? Would you allow a relative with a visible or invisible disability or illness to use substandard facilities in this day and age? No, we won't. So it's good to see the Council's 2023 policy being fulfilled in this way. That really will help in that part of the borough. It is a bonus ball in an area. So in seconding this recommendation after Councillor Savage, I'd also like to thank the Northern Ireland Museums for funding this and giving us this 10,000, thanks to Rianne for applying, obviously. It's very, very welcome and will ensure that no one is excluded from using this facility, which will be spectacular when the work is done. It still, however, is an awful shame that the Department of Communities have not yet moved to instigate a standalone Changing Places Fund NI. As usual, we're the only part of the UK not to have this fund, and we rely on other organisations to step in and fill the breach, and aren't we glad that they do? Thank you very much, Brian.
Okay, Councillor Flaherty, thank you for that. Next up is Councillor Ashley Mallon. Councillor Mallon. Well, we'll sort that out. Alderman Greenfield, please.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I'm not sure if it was seconded yet. If not, I'm happy to second it. It's good to see it. Thank you. I think we're back in. Good to see it, and also to put in record, because I know there's been different pots of funding that has been chased for the complete house, but I suppose we would have hated the thought that we would have spent the money that we've got in this without this happening, so it's good to see it, and certainly pass on our thanks, and it makes the place very accessible. And it's also good to see that the place is still being used, even though the refit's gone. My own daughter was there this week, or last week was school, and there's been still plenty of work going on, which is good to see. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Alderman Greenfield. And Councillor Ashley Mallon hasn't her light on, so I'm assuming that we move on. So no further lights, members. So it's proposed by Councillor Kevin Savage and seconded by Councillor Flaherty. All in agreement, members? Okay. Then move on to agenda item 4.3, and it's another NI Museums Council fit out of new education and community rooms. Brian, please. Brian Johnson.
Thank you, Chair, and just again, thanks to the members for the comments on Rianne. Rianne has been very proactive in terms of trying to attract additional funding in for the project, and we haven't sat in our laurels. So this was another application. Again, coming from this chamber, there was a consistent message that we want to make sure as many local people, schools are using the F.E. McWilliam Gallery and making sure there's enough opportunity for local artists and so forth. So this funding is towards the education and workshop space, and again, facilitating school visits. So again, the decision for members is to accept the letter of offer from the Northern Ireland Museums Council for £10,000 for this project. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Brian. Councillor Mackle, you're up.
Thank you, Chair. No, another good news story. Happy to propose. Thank you, Brian.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Mackle. And as is the decision item, members, I need a seconder. Alderman Greenfield. Councillor Kyle Savage, you want in? No, it's just a second. Right. Okay, members, 4.3 proposed by Councillor Mackle and seconded by Alderman Greenfield. All in agreement? Thank you. 4.4 members is an information item, and we're going to have a presentation from Vinnie McCann, who's the venue and programmes director within council, and I suppose this comes of some discussion that we had last month, just in terms of what we're doing across the piece. So we have you fairly well nailed down, I think, Vinnie, two or 10 minutes max. So over to you.
I think it'll be well done before then. Thank you very much, Chair, and good evening, members, and thanks for the opportunity to give a flavour of what's been happening within the sort of community arts section of our operation. Just a bit of background to the community arts section. It's relatively new and small. We have a community arts officer whose office is based in the marketplace, but whose remit is borough-wide, and he reports to Christine Donnelly in the theatre. But the remit is very much outside of the marketplace. It's pretty much everywhere else, bar the venue. So this short presentation is just to give a wee bit of a flavour of what's been happening across the borough within the community arts section. The first project I want to note is took place in Lilo Schoolhouse, and it was came about from a women's group who had contacted us, and they had expressed the theme of invisibility, particularly older women who felt that their role within society wasn't being reflected or being seen any longer. And so there was a series of facilitated workshops, and participants engaged in writing, visual arts, and poetry, expressing their perspectives and their current feelings about how they exist within the current society. And that culminated with an exhibition and a publication just a couple of months ago, and the Lord Mayor was there to launch that event. That was in conjunction with the John Hewitt Society, and that took place in Portadown. We've been working with Spring in Armagh City in Mullacreevy, and that is a film project with a group of young people in the Mullacreevy area, and that's taken place over a course of a number of months. It's sort of, the project itself is now concluded, and the final edits of that project are taking place now, and then they will be previewed in the marketplace at some point in the near future, and obviously we'll circulate information about that as soon as that project is available for viewing. Lockshore Lives is one that is ongoing at the moment, and it's funded by Council and the Arts Council of Northern Ireland through its Rural Engagement Fund, and it's based primarily in the community of Mahary, and you can see some photographs there of the activities that have taken place until now. We were struck by some of the stories relating to the loch and how it's impacting upon the communities who live there, grow up there, and work there. And so this project is to give a voice to those people. Often they feel removed from decisions that are being made about them. And so this is a project that's been going for the last sort of 4 or 5 months, and it will conclude towards the end of this month. I know there's a large activity happening this weekend. So you can see some of the activities being taken place. We're working with a filmmaker, a photographer, and a creative artist. So sort of 3 strands to it. And there's a number of community groups that are taking part, including Mahary Community Hall, the Loch Ness Boating Heritage Association. And we've been out on the loch to see the impact of the blue-green algae. And I would like to mention a guy called Jared McCourt, who you can see in the sort of top right there, who took us out in his boat. And he's from the area. He explained what the impact has been on his family, on his livelihood, and it's a quite an upsetting sort of story. But he was an extraordinarily good with his time and with his knowledge of the area. We've been working with the schools in the area to about young people, because it's going to impact on them in their future lives. And so in the coming sort of weeks and months, the final sort of edits will take place, and we'll be showing those. Going places, I brought a report on this a couple of months back, but this is a large-scale programme that's taking place over the next 5 years in conjunction with Aberdeenshire County Council and the Open Eye Gallery in Liverpool. It's just beginning the sort of large-scale process, but we have conducted a number of pilot programmes, and I'd like to pay tribute to Mark Revels, our Community Arts Officer, Christine Donnelly, and Sarah Weir and Sean Barden from the museum, because there were a number of projects that took place with communities in the Armagh County Museum. The whole point of going places is to engage people with the collections within museums. So this was one called Fabric of Life, took place a few months, and that was showcased at one of the Culture in the Park events in Banbridge and Portadown. This was another strand to it, which was in relation to Illuminate. So each of these sort of pilot projects led to an exhibition in the County Museum. And this one, which is just finished, was the Lace and Legacy, which formed part of a larger exhibition in the County Museum. And all of the people who've been involved are from communities who've come to Armagh and who wouldn't have necessarily visited the museum on a regular basis, and now they feel very much part of it and its story. So yeah, Culture in the Park happened very recently, so the Community Arts had a strong presence there. Knitted Knockers, I know, and Aeon Arts facilitated a range of cultural arts activities during the Culture in the Park in Lurgan. And this is the one I alluded to, the Going Places activity that took place in Culture in Park in Banbridge. This is a recent project called Torn Tissues, and this was working with Aeon Arts in Lurgan. And it was the creation of memory boxes for people suffering with dementia and their carers. I found this a very poignant project, and the participants certainly got a lot out of it. And on the evening of it, I think there were over 100 people that came to view the exhibits. It was quite a special activity. Been working in Armagh with the men's shed there, and they conducted a number of projects in relation to leather work and metal in conjunction with Johnny Kerr at the Forge. I went along to one of those, and it was utterly fascinating. We've been working with Cork County Council on a shared island project, which involved an exchange of people from here and from Cashel, and so they visited Navan, and our students visited Cashel on an exchange of ideas, that was a fascinating sort of, and again that was sort of filmed, and the sort of final edits of that are being worked on at the moment as well. Coming up in the next while, we are working with the Rhymers in the Guildford and Rathfriland area, and that's going to be an 8-week project with Rathfriland Regeneration Hub and Guildford Community Centre. And again, it's sort of looking at the sort of traditional crafts, but tackling social isolation and among individuals aged 55 and above. This was another project that took place in the Rathfriland area. This is a while ago, and it was working with a group of people with English as a second language and using arts as a means of communication and engagement. And so that's just a bit of a whirlwind flavour as to what Mark, Christine and the rest have been up to in the last number of months and leading ahead. And right in the middle there you can see us heading out, and that's me looking like the worst sailor in history.
Okay, thank you for that presentation, Vinny, and yes, you were well within the 10, so that's really appreciated. First in is Councillor Flaherty.
Perfect, Chair. Thank you. Thank you very much, Vincent, and to all of your team. It was myself that mentioned this at the last month's committee, so I hope it didn't put you to too much extra work. That was a very useful presentation, Vincent. Thank you so much, because I think a lot of these events maybe slip past some of us, and they're maybe not sold to us in the guise of the arts department that you're in. Because I would have maybe thought some of them were community, and it's great to see you working together with all the different departments. But I think you need to shine your light a wee bit brighter. Is that what it is? I can maybe think of a couple of different phrases, but you know, sing the story of it maybe a wee bit stronger for some of us. Maybe some of that's my fault. I'm not maybe keeping abreast of it all. So we'll change that one, Vincent. But thank you very much for your presentation. It was very, very useful.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Flaherty. Next in is Councillor O'Hanlon.
Thank you, Chairman. And I suppose, like Councillor Flaherty, can I thank Vinny for his presentation? Even for those of us who think we follow what's going on in the arts community locally, to see the full extent and breadth of the work that Vinny and the team have been involved in is fantastic. And it's great to see that arts and culture are embraced more than just in venues such as the Marketplace Theatre, which is a jewel in the crown as well. So look, Vinny, thank you, and if you can pass on our sincere thanks to all the teams involved. It's some really fantastic work going on there, so well done. Thank you.
Okay, Councillor O'Hanlon, thank you for that. And next up, I have Councillor Peter Lavery.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Vinny, for the presentation. I suppose it highlights this borough as a thriving area for culture and art, and it would be amiss if I didn't continue to mention the Armagh rhymers, who were, I think, this time last week in fashion, in their, I think, collaboration with world-renowned fashion house Alexander McQueen. So we're obviously getting up there in the fashion scene as well as a borough. So I think that should be noted, and thanks to all the team in tourism and all that who help various range of groups. So you never know, maybe next year Vinny will be there in the fashion show in Paris as well with the borough, not just around doing a bit of blacksmithing and all that there. Thank you for that, Chair.
Okay, Councillor Lavery, thank you for that. Members, I don't have any other lights or hands, so Vinny, I guess the worship is now answered. Thank you so much for your time this evening, and it's really appreciated. And I guess the message is keep up the good work, and as Councillor Flaherty said, flaunt it, let it shine. Thank you, Vinny. Thank you. Members, we're on 4.5, and it's the Barn Museum, and it's over to Brian Johnson.
I'm not Brian, Chair.
Just aged drastically. Thank you, Chair. So no, this is just again. This probably comes with a slight apology. A number of members have been in contact about making sure that we retain the accreditation of the Barn Museum at Tannockmore. A number of members have been in contact about this, and again, so we're bringing, this is an information item, but we're bringing forward our solution to retain the accreditation, and you'll see some of the dates that we're running through at the moment. And again, it's just working closely with our colleagues in parks to make sure that we deliver this. So thank you to members for raising this, and say there's an apology that you've had to. So, but hopefully we're moving in the right direction. Thank you.
Okay, Brian, thank you for that. And I have two speakers so far, members. Councillor Lavery, you're up first.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Brian, and the team for looking into this issue. I think for those who know it, the museum there at Tannockmore Gardens is a nice facility, so we need to ensure that it maintains or gets back its accreditation for potential, grants and so on in the future. It is a nice facility there to have, and I suppose in order to help maintain it, get footfall and everything, that has continued to be promoted as part of our museum offer. particularly for the sort of wider Craigavon area. I remember many times I was there over the summer as a child, and it's got a real, it's a good place, Tonnamore Garden, so, and it very much fits in with that, along with the farm itself. So it is good that this report's coming forward. Hopefully, we get that accreditation back and that is maintained from this point going on. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Lavery. Next up is Councillor Mackle.
Yes, thank you, Chair, and thank you, Brian, as one of the members that raised the museum at Tonnamore Garden, so it's good to see it's back on track, and thank you, Brian, for all your work on that. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Mackle. No other lights on. So agenda item number 5, correspondence, and I'm advised that there is no correspondence. So now I have to seek a proposer and a seconder to go into committee for the consideration of confidential items. Councillor Mackle, Alderman Barry, thank you. Members and online viewers, in accordance with Schedule 6 of the Local Government Act exempt information, we will now be moving into a confidential session of the Council. This means that we will be turning off the public feed of the meeting. This will be returned when the meeting is restarted. Can I ask ICT officers to please turn off the feed and confirm with me when the confidential session of this meeting can proceed? happy enough. Now, I have to seek a proposer and a seconder that we agree the recommendations that were made in committee. Councillor Mackle, Councillor Armstrong, that's grand. And in terms of any other business, there's just one thing that I would want to make reference to, and that's it's at the discretion of the chair. That is the labour market partnerships, that essentially the current job fairs that are going on throughout the borough. I've been able to attend a couple of them. There was one last week in the Millennium Court, and there was, in fairness, a great buzz around the room, and it's all credit to what council do in terms of being involved with these fairs. So it's just to basically take that back, and I know there's been maybe another issue in terms of council participation that maybe the director is going to feed back to members. So if the director can keep that in mind, that would be great. But anyhow, members, that said, I'm drawing the meeting to a close. Thanks, members.